So, who indeed is the real queen of Potomac? Is it Karen Huger or is it Charrisse? I want you guys to write down, cast your vote down in the chatterization down below, because that is the subject, just one of the subjects of the preview for this week's Real Housewives of Potomac episode, in which Robyn and Giselle confront Karen over the incident with Charrisse. And this is the first thing that comes up. And Karen is clapping back at this preview, specifically at Robyn. And I think we'll begin to see the beginnings of Karen versus Robyn this week. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and dive straight into the preview. All right. So, in this preview, we have Giselle and all of the ladies are at dinner. Okay. And in this preview, it starts off with Giselle confronting Karen and saying, if there was to be a queen of Potomac, that would be Charrisse. Where did this Queen of Potomac thing come from? If I remember correctly, was it not Giselle that came up with the title of Grand Dame for Karen seasons ago? She wasn't labeling Charisse that seasons ago. She was labeling Karen that. And whether or not it was meant to be facetious or not, it's the title that stuck. So if you guys are salty about this title for some reason, Giselle, I do believe, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong in the chatterization down below, but you have your only yourself to blame for deeming someone the grand dame. And if that is what is lending itself to this title of Queen of Potomac, then again, you guys only have yourselves to blame for that. Speaking of Giselle, right? But moreover, when we're talking about Queen of Potomac, I feel like, are we talking about the show or are we talking about, you know, real life, everyday, you know, goings on? Here's what I can tell you from the little that I know, okay? And I'm pretty kind of familiar with the area in general. I would say that it does appear that Charrisse is very much clued in to not only the goings on of Potomac, but with the who's who of Washington, D.C. That is not to say that Karen is not in on a real level. What I'm saying is that when I'm looking out and about and seeing the movers and the shakers, I'm definitely seeing Charrisse in attendance at a lot of events and that sort of thing. I honestly feel like Karen just doesn't really maneuver in a lot of those spaces, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like some people are just not like, I'm not out and about like that. But what I am saying is, from what I know of and from what um, I tend to see Charrisse out a bit more in terms of photographs and events and stuff like that. Karen just may be a little bit more exclusive in terms of her life and how she lives it. Um, so that's how we start, right? But the interesting thing is, you know, in this whole conversation, Charrisse is oddly silent. Okay. Um, Oddly silent, as are the rest of the ladies at the table, because this is mostly a conversation amongst the more seasoned OGs of the group. And it's very interesting to see Giselle and Robyn seemingly trying to force Charrisse on Karen when Giselle can't even be bothered to even speak to Wendy. Okay. Let's look at that. Okay. Um, that's very interesting to me. But moving on, so the issue of their altercation from the week prior to comes up, right? And after Karen tries to shut down Giselle from talking about this whole situation between, you know, she and Charrisse, because Giselle does say clearly if there's going to be a Queen of Potomac, that is Charrisse. And then Karen says, because this involves me, stop, just stop. Okay, enough is enough. This is deaded. She said, you can give your thoughts. I receive your thoughts. I heard you. I let you have your moment, but there is nothing else to discuss on this issue, and that's it. So then at this point in time, you have Robyn stepping in to add her 2 cents. And she says, but Karen, in this group, we are all held to the fire about the things that we say and do. But you're off limits. Is that what you're saying? And it's kind of interesting because I'm kind of like wondering where this is all going, because we're kind of just thrown into the scene. And so then Karen says that she meant that she was done with the topic. She has nothing else to add. And so Robyn then says, well, anyway, the behavior last night is extremely contradictory to the person and the woman that Karen tries to present herself to be. And to try to flip a sincere gesture of trying to support you in your time of grief. And at this point in time, Karen jumps in and says, please do not discuss this, please. I asked you not to touch my mother. Please respect that. Robyn says she's not talking about Karen's mother, and Karen says, well, grief is my mother. Basically, the situation that Robyn is referring to is basically Charrisse apparently maybe attending Karen's mother's funeral. Karen is asking the ladies to stop making reference to this event or anything pertaining to it. And Robyn feels like it's not necessarily about your mom, it's about Charrisse attending something for you, I'm assuming. But it's let me know how you guys feel about this. Or would you be offended by it if they kept bringing up something that was definitely very personal to you, in a way that was meant to introduce story to the collective? I might feel a certain type of way about it too, specifically, because that's her mom. Anyway, Robyn then says in her interview, she says, Karen knows how to deflect from the real issues, real conversations. And the shields that she puts up include my husband, my kids, and now my mother. So she's very crafty. But I would wager to say that wouldn't any reference to, I think, Juan, and Robyn is calling Juan on the phone, as we're going to see in an upcoming episode. And I feel like kids are an automatic off limits or a reference to the kids, as we've seen with Dr. Wendy not even wanting to bring her kids if she's not allowed to come to an event. So I feel like they're kind of tap dancing around really sensitive topics, um, in an effort to drive story. But you guys let me know how you feel about it in the chatterization down below. One thing I know is that, Miss Karen Huger was not having any of this. Okay. She was not having any of it. And so she happened to post this on her Twitter. She says, and this was posted by our friends over at the reality TV source. She says, please bring the same energy when you are questioned on all things important to you, Miss Dixon. Now, what you will notice is that Karen emphasized that Miss, i.e., you still ain't married. We still on this storyline. You ain't the Mrs. Like, this has been years in the making. When is it gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? Has it happened? Will it happen? Okay. So she definitely was getting that clap back at Robyn. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out between the two of them. I don't know what it is, but they are just like oil and water. I just don't ever feel like they'll ever get along. What do y'all think? Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comment section down below, and I will catch you in the next video.